Hello and welcome to this SAP Community call. My name is Minina Chao and I'm part of the SAP Community team hosting this call today. And the topic, as you can see, is SAP Intelligent RPA for a tech-focused audience, and this time business development. Please note we have a similar call already, which took place this morning for the development audience. You can check out that recording on the SAP Community calls page. Now, before we start, I would like to just give you some introduction into Zoom. So there is this Q&A functionality. You should see that in your menu where you can ask questions. We will have reserved time at the end of the call for questions, but feel free to use Q&A already to post your question. At the end, we will have a poll which we can launch, so we're really welcome if you would be attending. And yes, let me now introduce our speakers today. We have Alexandre Fortin. He is product expert for SAP Intelligent Robotic Process Automation, and he's a product expert for Intelligent RPA, translates functional needs into detailed specifications based on use cases. He has a holistic view of a product from platform support through documentation to user experience. And so he will have the first part of the presentation. Then another speaker that's here with us today is Pierre. And Pierre is head of communications for SAP Intelligent RPA and has an extensive 30 or plus years background and expertise in marketing and communications, and analyst and investor relations for internet, telecom, and IT companies. So he will also give us some insights into assets and things that you should know about SAP Intelligent RPA. Now, I don't want to hold you up for too long, so let's get started. And Alexandre, if you want, you can start now.
Thank you very much. So if you're able to hear me, that's great. Okay, so thank you. Hello and welcome. Today we will talk about the version, the 2002 release of Intelligent RPA, and we'll start right away with the agenda. So as you may know, so we have the trial store, we have on-premise components and the cloud component, and we'll have a look on the marketing communication by Pierre. As you may know, we have a store which contains a pre-built content, and the trial mode is available for all users. So, which is what we can see on this slide deck. So you can subscribe within SAP Cloud Platform for subscribing your trial version. And once you have your trial version, or if you have already subscribed to Intelligent RPA in a productive landscape, you have access to the store within directly, or you can browse directly from the external website. So we'll start quickly with Desktop Studio. So in this release, we introduce the smart declaration for UI automation, Win32, web, and SAP UI5, and in the next slide for SAP GUI for Windows. As you may know already, when you want to declare a UI element, it is often needed to define the criteria. So starting with this release, smart declaration will help this task. Typically, when you double-click on a given UI element, the studio will use a set of strategies based on the connector and the type of UI element. If the studio is able to use a criteria, the UI element will be added and the corresponding criteria defined. If not, you will still need to define it manually. And we're working on improving this mechanism for the coming releases. And as I mentioned before, the smart declaration works also for SAP GUI for Windows. For instance, some GUI elements, such as the ALV grid or GUI control bar, are already covered by the smart declaration. There are also additional improvements for the Desktop Studio. For instance, we improved the way screenshots are taken from some technologies like the Universal Windows Platform applications. So it will be easier for type of technology. We've also improved the way of processing the archive for a project. It has been improved, and we put in place a kind of a cleanup mechanism for the existing project when you delete some obsolete screenshot, capture page, and screen, and so on. We've now report in a better way the zoom factor when you do the capture of a UI element. And we have also reworked the Internet Explorer capture. It is far more efficient, and the zoom factor is even taken into account. So if needed, you can disable this, capture with a dedicated configuration in the Desktop Studio. So let's talk on the connectors improvement. For SAP GUI for Windows, there are some performance improvements related to the server BASIC and the synchronous calls. Typically, the bot developer can now use this exception message within the script. We also improved the recognition based on the name field by redesigning the way we use com calls, which is the internal mechanism, which can be expensive. So at the runtime, this should be more efficient when we do the recognition call. In the Desktop Studio, we have many activities now on the SAP GUI for Windows. However, those activities were not logically grouped. A bot developer has to read the help text and for using them. So now activities are grouped based on control type. This will help the bot developer for quickly identifying the relevant activities of a control. We've added dedicated activities for the GUI table control, such as a select, deselect, a given row, all visible rows, and so on. And also the ability to scroll and so on. We're also doing the same for the GUI tree control, which is often used in the SAP GUI for Windows. So you can see the different activities that are available on the GUI tree. And as you may know, the GUI status bar is here to provide important messages which are related to the status of actions performed. 3 activities have been provided for this usage. Another important control, the GUI calendar, which has now 4 dedicated activities, like the get date, the range, and for selecting the date and the range too. The way we navigate within the SAP GUI for Windows can now leverage the transaction with a start and end transaction. You no longer need to use keyboard or mouse operations during the bot execution. And for the session and session info have no dedicated activities. You can use such information within your automation project. With this update, to ease the bot development with SAP GUI, you can now use new activities for existing controls which were only available through code. On a regular basis, we would like to provide such new activities that are already available on the SDK. So you can see right now on the GUI control with the GUI frame window, the GUI main window, the GUI text field, or even the GUI table control. That's all for the SAP GUI for Windows. Let's have a look on the surface automation, the OCR. So let's talk about the OCR. With this release, we introduced the template matching. The template matching should be helpful for detecting patterns on full layouts UI. On the left side of the slide, you have a contextual menu to create a new template from image selection. And on the right, this new zone is now shown as a template in the properties pane. And the last word about the Office activities. For Excel, we now group activities within subcategories. The goal here is to help the bot developer for selecting the right activities. And for Outlook, we start to expose activities now. And we've also introduced the ability to use the calendar and the corresponding activities like the appointment and all the thing about the invitation that you can have. So that's all for the on-premise component and the cloud connectors. So let's have a look on the cloud components. For few updates on the Cloud Factory, in this release, we added the ability to define sharing for environments. And as deployed packages and triggers are using environments, they will also leverage the sharing definition. We've added a new tab in the monitoring, the logs tab. It aims first to improve the troubleshooting of agent disconnection, for example, or also some cleanup that could happen. You can also export the content of this new tab. There are also some improvement for reporting the notifiers error when you define an API trigger, for instance. And a quick demo of the sharing of the environment. We can add quickly a user, for instance. You can have different type of privileges. And when it's shared, you click on it and you see who will have access to this environment. You have access to the agent history. For a given agent, you will have the relevant information about what are the projects assigned to this agent, events, or jobs executed. We keep 7 rolling days of historical data, and you can download this information in the CSV format. On the way that desktop packages have been reworked, importing a package is now using behind-the-scene transaction. And when you import a desktop package, it will create automatically a cloud project. If you're familiar with a cloud project, when importing a desktop package, you need to select one by one a scenario and click Generate Package. In few clicks now, you upload a desktop package, all scenarios will be selected and the package will become available. However, if you have already uploaded desktop package versions for a given Desktop Studio project, you can opt in for using this new behavior. And for those who are using the store, you can now rename prior to import a store package. And let's have a quick demo on the import package now. So automatically, a desktop the cloud project has been created. And you can see the update mechanism is also in place. And another update on the Cloud Studio this time, we have improved when dealing with a data type. So now it supports the enumeration. It also better supports the array and even the context definition of a desktop package. And we've also improved the way that we suggest a variable when you define a process automation. And now an update about the store. So the store now has additional bots. To date, we are 51 available bots, and the number of is increasing on a regular basis. Don't forget that you have a public access at this location. So on the store, we can provide this information later on the slide. And that's really all for what's new for the 2002 release. Do not hesitate to go on the Hub portal for additional information. And now, Pierre would like to update you about important topics related to the resources available right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alexandre, and hello, everyone, and thank you again for being with us this afternoon. I will do a quick update about SAP Intelligent RPA from a marketing and communication standpoint. So first, you have to know that we have our own channels on the social media. We had for the last 6 months a tremendous growth on LinkedIn with about 2,000 new followers per month since TechEd in September, October, and November. We also have 2,000 followers on Twitter with about 100 new followers per month. And we also have a YouTube channel where we share some not only marketing videos, but also technical tutorials and useful information on YouTube. So feel free to follow us on those channels. And if you found some interesting content on LinkedIn and Twitter, feel free to amplify as well and to share those contents. Then we also, of course, have a strong presence on SAP Community. We have now about 2,700 internal members, so SAP employees, and a bit more than 12,000 members when we take in account the members of the community working for partners or for end customers. For this community, we have provided a lot of resources and assets. Of course, we have our product page on sap.com website, and we have a short URL, which is sap.com/RPA. We have, of course, the community page with the intelligent-RPA handle. You have to know that we created a few OpenSAP courses. The first one was really a general overview on the solution. It has been done by the end of last year. And now we have 3 courses in progress or that will start soon. The first, which is how to build bots with SAP Intelligent RPA, has been done in December last year, and it will restart in April. So considering that we now have the free trial offer, you can benefit of this OpenSAP course to really learn how to use our product and then use it effectively via the trial offer. We have in progress now an OpenSAP course which is related to how to automate around S4HANA with Intelligent RPA. The course started 2 weeks ago, and you can still join and benefit of the expertise of our S4HANA colleagues who have developed already around 40 pre-built bots operating around S4HANA. And we will have, starting May 12, a new course, which is what's new with bot building. So all the new features Alexandre showed you before will be technically explained in this course. Of course, the product has its online product documentation. The S4HANA pre-built bots are displayed and organized in the S4HANA Best Practices Explorer. We have our own learning journey on SAP Learning Hub. And we have a series of blog posts. If you want to, I would say, give some overview of what RPA is, what business outcomes it brings, etc., to colleagues who are less aware of RPA than you are, you can share those digitalists and community blog posts. Uh, 2 months ago, we created a tool which is available both online in an HTML mini site plus an offline PDF. And this allows you to consider different use cases where RPA can bring very strong business outcomes, and you have some evaluation of the return on investment you can have on different use cases by using Intelligent RPA. So here again, feel free to use this tool or to use this tool to explain what RPA can bring to your company for your colleagues. 1 year after having launched the product, I would say, product was unofficially launched in March last year and officially launched in Sapphire in Orlando in May 2019. We have now a bit more than 100 customers using the product, and some of these customers are have accepted to testify on the product, explaining what benefits they had and how they did their project. So for example, Villeroy & Boch, which is a German ceramics manufacturer doing tableware, have used SAP Intelligent RPA to automate some financial operations around their ERP. And we have also internal customers at SAP. The first one has been our HR department. You have to know that with about 100,000 employees around the globe, SAP HR department has to create about 27,000 offer letters per year, whether it is for new employees hired or employees moving from a team or department to another. And RPA has been very useful in automating those offer letter creation, saving a lot of time for our HR colleagues. And we also have another example in data management, intelligent data operation team, where they use RPA to automate data creation and data cleansing in some internal processes at SAP. So these customer stories are available in the form of business transformation stories. So 1-pager, 2-pagers, or 6-pagers PDFs that you can download here. You will see an example of how it looks like in the next slide. So here on the left, you see the business transformation story for Villeroy & Boch with the business outcomes and the voice of the customer, and same on the right for our HR department example. And on the next slide, you have the BTS for our data management colleagues. And here we need you because, of course, if you use SAP Intelligent RPA in your company, if you are happy with it, and if you are okay to spreading the word about what you did, how you did it, what were what was your context, what were your expectations, what were your pain points, and how you improved your operations with SAP Intelligent RPA, feel free to let me know, and I will be more than happy to manage with our colleagues from the customer reference team the way of creating such assets and such contents based on your own experience. So that's it from my side, from a marketing and communication standpoint. Here you have the links to our social channels. And I think we are now ready to answer some of your questions.
Thank you very much, Pierre and Alexandre. There was already one ask if you could, it was raised in the chat, if you could share the links in the chat. So
yeah, I will copy the links in the chat right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I shared the link to the SAP Community topic page already, but I wasn't sure which one the person was interested in more. But yeah, so we had one question that was about will the slides be shared and where? Yes, so for all community calls that we have, you can find presentations and recordings on that community page slide. So I have
Absolutely,
yeah, I have added the link to this, and I mean, of course, it will take some time, few days, but then you will see them there. We have another question by Kent, and the question: can you cover the consumption pricing model again?
Yeah. Our offer is priced on a per consumption basis. It means that you don't pay for the bot you install in your IT landscape, whether they are attended bot on desktops or unattended bots on servers or virtual machines. You only pay for bot runs, which are the transactions which are done by a bot. So if you deploy 10 bots doing 100 transactions each, or one bot doing 1,000 transactions, you will pay exactly the same. And you won't pay for the desktop studio you deploy to create the bots, and you don't pay for the cloud factory, which allows you to deploy the automations, to monitor your bot work, etc.
You don't pay also for the desktop agent. So
of course,
you pay only on the transaction.
You pay only on the transaction, and you can deploy as many bots as you want. The idea is to allow our customers and partners to start small, to find a sweet spot to begin their RPA journey. And then once they have a good return on investments, when they convince other teams in the company, their colleagues, etc., that RPA is effective, they can imagine new use cases, and they can scale up by deploying more bots and doing more transactions.